We're here today at Ferry Meadows Country Park to show you the new dedicated Acolyte Bait Up rods. Bait Up rods has become an integral part of the feeder fisherman's armoury. It allows you to get a lot of bait into your swim in a small amount of time. So where did the idea for dedicated bait up rods come from? Many years ago, pole fishermen used to use aerosol caps to cup bait into their swim. Along came pole cups in different sizes which just screwed on the end of your pole. It's no different with feeder fishing. As it's progressed over the years, more advanced techniques have come into play, including the bait up rod. So the first bait up rods were actually either carp rods or pike rods, which was really good at delivering large feeders into the swim. The problem with pike and carp rods is they are very industrial and you can't really feel when the feeder was going to empty. The new dedicated bait up rods have got a finer tip, so you know exactly when that bait is coming out of the feeder. So the bait up rods have oversized eyes which allow the braid or your line to flow through the rings so easily to get into the swim. The blank of the rod is made up not like a carp rod or a pike rod. There's still plenty of power in the middle so you can get that distance and accuracy, but it's got a slightly softer top so you know when the feeder will empty. So why a dedicated bait up rod? Well, the rods we use today are very expensive and it just stops any potential breakages by using the right tool for the right job. After much field testing, we brought out two versions, a 12-foot for getting distances up to 80 metres and a 10-foot version which will easily get to 50 metres. I also like to use the smaller mini pit reels loaded with braided line. Braid is always the better option because there is zero stretch, which means that you're casting to a clip, you're going to be very, very accurate, and like I said before, you get a cleaner evacuation of the bait. To go along with the bait up rods, we've got a bait up braid. The braid is 0.17 in diameter. This may seem a little bit overgunned, but you do need a strong braid to get these large feeders to get to the distances needed. When we was testing this new braid, we had all different amounts of colours. If you look at the carp anglers who use spod braids, they're very, very light in colour. But the difference with bait up and spod is that a spod is emptied out on the surface. A bait up feeder is emptied predominantly on the bottom, so the braid will be going straight through your swim. So after testing multiple colours of this new braid, we felt that the green colour gave you the better chance to not spook any of those wary fish in your swim. When using braided lines, it's so important to wet the braid before you cast. The last thing you need is the dreaded wind knot, which can happen when you're trying to cast dry braid. So the more feeder fishing gets popular, the more kind of items like these bait up rods you'll see. During this year's World Championships in Spain, every team had bait up rods, multiple lengths to match the rods that they was fishing with. Just like any kind of fishing, it does progress, so you have to keep up with what's happening on the scene. The Acolyte Bait Up rods fit in perfectly with all the Acolyte range. High quality carbon, and it delivers the performance you would expect from the Acolyte range. We're at the lovely Ferry Meadows on Overton Lake. The session has been absolutely brilliant. We started off and found a nice clear patch at 54 metres where I put in 10 bait up size feeders using the 12-foot bait up rod. As with Ferry Meadows, you have to wait a little while for a bite, but after an hour, the fish have moved into the swim and the sport has been nothing short of fantastic. I did have to bait up again after an hour and a half, 2 hours, to make sure that the fish came back into the swim, as the lake is very, very clear. The best method today was in a cage feeder, 4 maggots on the hook with corn and pellets through the ground bait. Casting every 5 to 10 minutes, sometimes leaving it in as long as 10 minutes. Most of the bites came within 4 or 5 minutes. When fishing like this, it's so important to have a stopwatch so you can time how long that you leave the feeder in the water. 2 or 3 quick casts with the bait up rod and then a longer cast over the top with a smaller feeder has paid dividends today. We finished this session with a lovely netted bream. The best thing about Ferry Meadows is when the tip goes round, it's very rarely under £3, from fish up to £7. It's an absolutely brilliant fish area when you hit it right.